Okay.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi. This is delay always throws me off so much.
Yeah, right?
It's like a very delayed delay.
Welcome to Experience Vanlife with myself, Frankie, and Alex.
Hi.
And we're doing another podcast.
Yeah,
Excited?
really excited. I am excited. I'm also a little bit gassy apparently. Okay. Let's get started because we
Yeah.
have so much to talk about today. It's going to be a really good episode.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Winter van life stuff.
I know. Winter van life is got its challenges.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Experience Van Life, the podcast with Frankie and Alex. I'm Alex.
And I'm Frankie.
And we're really excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking about something that we've been living through, which is winter van life.
Oh, and it has not been easy.
No, it comes with its very own particular set of challenges.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've been doing build episodes, and we're going to get back to our build series. We just wanted to kind of drop this little wisdom nugget in between because we're kind of in the thick of it right now.
Yeah, it's still the middle of winter, and we want to share some of the challenges that we faced with you guys because we know that you guys are going to actually experience some of these challenges as well. So if you are just getting into van life, this may be a really helpful podcast for you.
Mm-hmm. And I know, in some of the Facebook groups that we're in, a lot of people just avoid winter van life completely.
Yeah.
But there's so much beauty and fun, and there's so many things to explore that are really only awesome in the winter.
Yeah.
And so, I think it would be a shame to completely miss out on it just because you don't want to be cold.
Yeah, exactly. And you could bundle up really well to go outside and you feel really warm. But let's get into it's always cold out there.
It's always cold.
It's always cold, so you need heat. Heat is required in your van.
Yeah, so we installed a diesel heater under our passenger side seat that blows directly into the space, and it's hooked directly into our diesel engine.
Yeah, which was a fair task in itself. But
Yeah, we had to drop the whole thing. I don't think you'd have to drop the whole thing if you just had the auxiliary port.
Yeah, the connection.
But we needed to change the pump anyways, and so Frankie just got covered in diesel.
Yeah, that was fun. I smelled like diesel for about 3 weeks.
Yeah, and his clothes got washed 7 times and still smelled like diesel.
Alex was like, "Oh my God, don't come near me."
It was really bad.
All right, but there's so many different ways you could heat your van.
Yeah, so obviously the diesel heater we find to be really good. We bought the knockoff brand. There is a much more expensive brand that you can get. But the $150 one is serving all of our needs. It's heating our space. We don't have a thermostat where you can control the actual temperature, so it's either on or it's off.
Well, you could set a timer, but I really don't know when to set that timer. We could set it for overnight when it's freezing cold, but what happens when it's not cold? Then I have to go and manually shut it off. I'd rather just manually shut it off with the remote all the time. But you could also get a Mr. Buddy heater, which is a propane heater. But what you have to do when you have a propane heater is you got to make sure that you have some type of ventilation system in the van, which most of us do. We have that fan that you can open up and
you could crack a window if you don't have a max air fan in the room.
And those Mr. Buddy heaters are super efficient. They give off a ton of heat. But you also have to be careful that you don't set any fires.
Yeah, so and if you have pets, a Mr. Buddy heater might not be a good idea because they might knock it over or, it's a little bit more dangerous of an option.
Yeah, it's not stationary. Unless you make it stationary, you can move something like that around where ours is stationary underneath the seat. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and we don't have to worry about getting an extra tank of diesel because it's already fed into our gas tank.
Yeah. So another way to keep all this heat inside is making sure that you are insulated very well and insulating your windows as well. So we have very well insulated walls, and then Alex made these really cool little things that fit over reflective black on one side and another fabric to match the inside, so it keeps the space really homey. But they attach to the window, and it keeps any cold air from coming through that window. and it helps tremendously.
Do you remember the other night when you were like, let's not put the front window
I
covers
was
up,
like,
it'll be fine.
let's test this, and it was actually one of the most cold nights that we've had so far. It was like
Yes.
-8 outside Fahrenheit, and we left that down, and you could feel the air in the space was actually crisp.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the heater was just pumping all night, but not really doing anything because a lot of that hot air just escapes through the windows.
Yeah.
So obviously we have insulation behind our walls, which we did when we were building, but having the windows covered is super important.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so just making sure that you have all your little cracks and holes and stuff that will allow air through as well. Sometimes we even put up a yoga mat over the doorway area that we have because it's not fully insulated just due to the mechanism not working properly.
Hmm.
So we put a yoga mat over that area and it actually works as a really good insulator
It's really good.
and it stops any of that cold air from coming through that space.
Hmm. Okay, so the next thing, you have to have some really good blankets.
Yeah.
We don't have anything that's specifically rated for like outdoor camping or anything like that. We have a great big down comforter on our bed, and then we have another kind of like faux fur blanket on
Mhm.
top of that.
Mhm.
And it's very cold when you get into it, but it does trap your body heat in. So within, 30 minutes of being in bed, it's very nice and warm.
Yeah, we're basically sweating once we get into that area. But one thing you could do to compete with that really cold bed is you could just flip your sheets over, open them up all the way, and allow that heat from the space to actually hit the bed and stuff. And then
Yeah.
it will warm up your bed enough to where when you get in, you're not like, holy crap, that's freaking cold.
The other thing you can do is get a hot water bottle. And so you would boil some water, fill your hot water bottle with the boiling water, and then put that under your sheets
Yeah.
or on top of your sheets. But that'll help kind of warm the space before you get into it. And then it's also nice to like hold or hug as you're sleeping if it's a really cold night.
Yeah, yeah. And especially depending on whatever type of insulation and heating situation you have, that would help a lot. Um, but we also, another thing we do is we sectioned off the front area of our space with these blackout curtains, and they are super insulated. Actually, it doesn't let any of that cold air pass through, which is amazing.
Yes.
And we actually made a little cutout so we could magnetize it around the diesel heater. That way, that doesn't start to burn up or anything from the diesel heater and how hot that temperature is coming out. But yeah, those blackout curtains help a lot. And one thing that will happen overnight when you guys are sleeping, if you have all your windows covered with Reflectix, is you will get freeze ups on your window.
So that's like basically you've created a layer of ice in between, the window and the vapor barrier.
Yep.
So in the morning, we'll have to turn on the defrost for the front window, but also often we're scraping the inside of the window to get the ice off of that as well. What we did find though was that cracking the vent just a tiny bit,
Yeah.
like to the outside world, really stops a lot of that condensation from building. But the trade-off is then your space won't be quite as warm.
Yeah, for sure. So what we like to do in the morning when that time, like when we get up in the morning, we have to drive. We turn the truck on, we get it running for a little bit, and we actually use the recycled air. So we press in the button so we can recycle the air inside the van.
Because the air inside the van is
It's
already
way warmer,
warm.
yeah. So we recycle that air as our defrost.
Right.
And it makes that window melt so much faster.
Yeah, and then you just need a little towel or something
Wipe it
to
down.
wipe up
Yeah.
the moisture that's
Yeah.
coming off of that. So the other thing that's kind of annoying is that your feet are always going to be a little bit wet or a little bit
Cold,
snowy or a
yeah.
little bit muddy because you live in a van, you're probably going to spend a fair bit of your time outside of the van. So when you come back with your muddy, dirty, snowy shoes,
you need somewhere to put them.
yes. And so we have our space, obviously the front cab area, there's a rubber floor, which
Yes.
is like the default that comes with our van.
Yes.
The back area, we have a nice wooden floor that we added with a nice rug. I don't want any of that snowy, muddy, dirty shoe on our nice rug in the back.
And I don't want to get yelled at for it.
So we are always coming in and out of the front doors.
Yeah.
We hardly ever use the side door as an entrance or exit unless we're giving like a van tour to somebody. We're always coming in and out the front. And then as soon as you get in the front, you can kick your feet off outside the door and then take your shoes off inside the house on the rubber floor.
I find two purposes of coming in through those front doors. One, for our boots and everything, and no mud coming into the back. And two, to keep the heat inside the back of the space. So, like, when we open up that side door, that heater's right there, and it allows, like, an inrush of cold air, where when we come in through the front, those curtains are sort of blocking it, and it sort of gets trapped in that front cabin rather than coming to the back. So I think it's great for that as well. But, yeah, just to being able to take off our shoes in the front, let them, like, thaw out and clean them up, but just bang them out real quick outside the door. It helps tremendously. It keeps our space way cleaner, too.
Absolutely. Because that front area is pretty dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the floor
Actually,
just like builds.
I legit looked at it yesterday.
Oh, no.
Like right where the crack is, where the two floors meet.
Right.
And I definitely saw. I was like, I need a vacuum.
Yeah. But because that's not our like living space, it's not so important that it's a more industrial space, you could say, because it's the front and it's rubber. So like if we need to just like, brush it out, then that's cool. Let's take 1 second and say hi to everybody on the live chat. So this podcast is also a live chat on YouTube. And we have to say hi to the Unpaved Explorer. He dropped in to say hello on his way to work, and we super appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for taking your time, even on your way to work, to stop by and check us out.
Yeah, and then Buenos Tros 2020. I'm probably saying that not great, but he stopped in to say hi too. He is an awesome guy, and his videos are pretty cool, as so are the Unpaved Explorers videos, so go check those guys out.
We should be in California not too long from now.
Yeah, we're really excited for that.
Yeah, we'll be in Tahoe area around like the 13th, I think, of March.
Yeah, so right now, an update from the road, which we forgot to do.
Yeah.
We just finished mountain number 54 yesterday.
Well, and then I actually snowboarded Loveland Pass, so I guess we could make that 55.
Yeah, we're going to have to add that to our spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So we're currently on track to get the world record for the most mountains snowboarded in a single season. We're probably going to do about 79 mountains.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere 78, 79 mountains at this point, and who knows, I might wind up hiking another ridge or something that's just a random ridge and not a resort.
Yeah, we'll see.
To add it, yeah.
Because originally, if you look up our hashtag, it's hashtag 71 mountains, but we're going to do way more than that, which is pretty crazy. So, okay, let's get back on track. So we talked about the muddy boots. You're also going to have some wet clothes. So we snowboard a fair bit, and obviously you have the pants, you have the mitts, everything gets kind of covered in snow, everything gets wet. So we hang all of that in the hooks.
Yeah, the hooks are actually located directly above the sliding door, which is directly above our heater, which works out absolutely perfectly because overnight or during the day when we hang up all our clothes, that heater will dry out our clothes. And next morning we have nice, warm, dry clothes. So having hooks in particular places, like over your heating area, helps out tremendously, and it gets rid of all that wet clothes that you may have if you didn't have that heater or those hooks there.
Absolutely. And it works really well. Like by the next morning, everything is bone dry and ready to wear again.
Everything.
So another challenge with winter van life is that it can be a little bit depressing.
Yeah, especially in the beginning.
In the early winter when it's so dark so early and the days are so short and it's cold and it's really hard for your body to be, I feel like, outdoors that much.
I personally can't lie because, like, since I love snowboarding so much, it's very rare for it to become depressing for me because I'm constantly outside during the day.
Right.
And I'm snowboarding every single day because of the goal and the challenge we have to meet. Hashtag 71 mountains. But so basically I'm always outside, so it's less depressing for me. But in the earlier months of the winter and it's like 4:30 and it's getting dark outside, I'm in the van by that time. So it's like, all right, what do we do from there? You know, like, do we
Yeah, the
just
nights
drive
are
to a new
very long.
location? Or, like, do we get out a flashlight and explore or something? And do we just, like, make a campfire somewhere in the middle of nowhere? There's so many different things you can do. It's
Mhm.
just whether or not you're willing to do it.
Yeah. And also, I mean, maybe just listen to your body a little bit. Like when it gets dark so early and we are, traveling, and so we're driving from, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to get to the next place, and it's completely pitch black. By the time we get there, it feels like it's midnight and we're ready to go to bed. So, that's not necessarily a bad thing because then you can wake up bright and early the next day. But the problem comes in where your solar panels are also experiencing this darkness and they're also not getting as much sunlight. The day is shorter if it's a cloudy day, if it's, a snowy day when there's no sun at all. Your solar panels are really going to have a hard time keeping up. So it's important that you conserve energy. So, maybe don't run all your electronics. You know, certain things you have to be able to power. So for us, it's the heater. We
Yeah.
need to make sure that we have enough solar power for the heater. So we might not charge our laptops and
Yeah.
not charge our phones and use an external power bank for that kind of stuff because we need to have the heater
Yeah.
running.
So the one great thing about the heater is once it's running, you could get your battery bank down to 10.6 volts before it actually will shut off. The You should never get your battery bank that low. Um, there are times where we've gotten down to like 11.6. Our heater stayed on, all that stuff stayed on, which was great. And we have AMG batteries, so we got to be really careful about that anyway. So yeah, it's just being very, very understanding of what you're using
Mm-hmm.
and allowing yourself to maximize your warmth in your van and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. We met a couple, we were kind of parked up next to them,
Mm-hmm.
and they blew through all of their electricity, and so in the middle of the night, their heater turned off.
Yeah.
Um, so what they did was that they just started the car and, blew the hot air from the engine, from
Yeah.
the vehicle into the back area. And so that works. It's probably not going to be as effective because you've only got a couple of heaters trying to
Mm-hmm.
heat a really big space.
Yeah, and you're also wasting your gas a
Yeah.
lot more because your vehicle takes a lot more to run than the little tiny
Yeah.
diesel
But if
heater.
it's a question between like,
Get it being freezing cold
yeah,
and like being warm, yeah, definitely do it for sure.
yeah,
I
but
agree.
so if you conserve your resources like that, and the other resource that we really need to conserve is actually water. So the way that our plumbing system works is we have a giant tank in the back. It's 32 gallons, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to hook up a garden hose basically from an external source to our tank. So this is fine in the summer when everybody's garden hoses are open and running and everything is, flowing. But in the winter, a lot of these outdoor hoses get shut off because the pipes will freeze and the pipes will burst potentially.
Yeah.
So a homeowner or a business would rather um, shut off these pipes, drain the water out of them, and not use them until spring because it could potentially be a very expensive problem.
Yeah.
So that's great, and I understand that because we've had a couple of plumbing freezes up that were really frustrating,
Yeah.
and we've actually added a heat trace to all of our plumbing to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Another thing is like when you add something like that, the heat trace, once again you're gonna use a lot of power when you put something like that in.
Yeah, so
So we have solar panels, but in the early winter months you don't get enough solar to maintain things like that and utilize them. So you have to put in like a battery to battery charger or have some type of shore plug and have places to plug into. But the battery to battery charger is huge and it saved our lives a few times in the sense of keeping enough energy in the van to where we could use everything, including that heat trace.
yeah, and so next week we're actually going to talk about powering your van. So we're going to get back to the build series,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to talk about electricity and all that. But just very briefly, a battery to battery charger is basically when the battery from your car engine charges the batteries from your solar system.
Well, actually, it's more like your alternator, your getting power from your alternator to charge the back batteries.
Right.
Yeah.
So when your car is
we just had it
running,
ran through the front battery to make
right.
it easier of a running, like, you know, to get it back there quicker.
Right. So when your car is running, you're charging your batteries.
Correct.
So another thing that you have to think about is keeping your lines.
Another thing is like when you have that on, if you have it manually where you're doing it yourself, you have to make sure that you have an on-off switch and you shut that switch off, you know, 20 minutes before you're gonna actually shut off your car, because you want to maintain that front battery as high as possible, so that way it makes it easier for you to start and stuff.
Well, yeah, and also in the morning, if your car is having difficulty starting, because that's happened to us before, you need to make sure that your front battery is fully charged so that you can crank your engine if you need to. But so getting back to the water, you have to kind of conserve your water and make it last for as long as possible, because all of these pipe systems are shut down. And so places like, we would find things on iOverlander that would say you can fill up here, but it's not a winterized fill up, so you really can't fill up there.
Yeah, you really can't. It's amazing how many places that we thought we might be able to fill up, and then like we sort of like, oh man, we can't go here, we got to go somewhere else, and we keep like searching. I mean, I think we spent like 2 hours one day just trying to find a place to fill up, and it was probably like more like 2 days really is what we wound up spending, because we stopped at a bunch of gas stations and asked if they had winterized spigots.
Yeah,
and, like,
we were even at a friend's house and their water was all shut down.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any outdoor plumbing in the winter, hookups in the winter." But luckily, we've been fortunate enough. Our water system lasts us almost a month.
Because we're cautious about how much
and like
we use.
even when we like wash the dishes, we like barely turn on the water.
Yeah,
we like scrub our dishes before we like turn the water on at all, and
it's just being conscious about your resources, because like the less you use, the less often you're gonna have to refill your tank.
Yeah, which I think is really good anyway, because it's good for the environment. We have a much smaller footprint in the sense, like we don't utilize as much as other people do in like a regular home, because some people just turn on the tap and like walk away.
Yeah, it's interesting when we get to somebody's house, like we're at a friend's house right now and they've been so awesome and so generous, and we're like, we're gonna shower every day for like 20 minutes, you know.
And then one thing I noticed is like when I come into other people's house, when I go to wash my hands or wash things, I like barely turn on the faucet, and I'm like washing my hands because I'm so used to the van. And like I'm like, oh, I'm in the house, I could use more than this, but I still try not to use more.
Right. So the other resource that you're gonna have to kind of think about, or just like the plumbing is shut off from the outside.
Yeah.
A lot of campgrounds and free places to park will also be shut down. So things that you might find on iOverlander, which is an awesome app and will give you a lot of free places to camp, will kind of, you know, be a double-edged sword sometimes, because you'll see a campsite, you'll think it's really good. Frankie really has to take this phone call. Super important, because he's dealing with like a lease issue, and the woman's finally called him back, so he's gonna go deal with that. But yeah, so on iOverlander, these campsites that look open and sound like they're going to be really good, you get there and they're completely snowed in, or it's so muddy that you can't drive into it, or it would be dangerous to drive into it, especially with a giant van. So you kind of have to be a little bit more cautious about where you're going to park, and so boondocking, it becomes a little bit more complicated in certain areas, so you're going to have to kind of think about that and maybe choose more, you know, public places, so like the Walmart parking lots or the gym parking lots, because you know that they're plowed and that it's good ground for your car to drive on. Okay, so kind of last, we want to talk about must-have winter gear. So things that you need to have in your car to be able to manage the winter and have a really good time. So obviously a shovel is really important, in case you get snowed in case you have to dig something out. Having a shovel in the car is completely vital. Having a window scraper is also really important, to clean your windshield off, also to clean your solar panels off. So if you don't have like a built-on ladder, having a ladder inside of your vehicle, so we have one that kind of collapses that we store in the garage, and then we'll pull out when we need to get up to the roof area. And I mean, again, we talked about having solar panel. If your solar panels are completely covered in snow, you're not going to get any electricity. So you need to get up there and clean them off. It's also the safe thing to do before you drive so that sheets of ice and giant piles of snow aren't like falling on the cars behind you, because you have a really big surface area up there. So you should really be cleaning it off when it snows. The other thing that's really important to have are snow chains. Obviously, we're going to all these different mountains, and so the terrain that we're going over is very up and down, very, snowy on purpose, that we're hoping for it to be snowy. But there's been certain areas where we had to chain up. There's certain roads that you are legally not allowed to drive on if you don't have snow chains. I think Frankie's got some good news about his lease.
It's deemed as a full term.
Yay!
That's
That's
awesome.
So you don't have to worry about that. They sent him a bill for $30,000.
It was like $32,000, and I went through like this procedure that I was supposed to do, did everything they said, and then they told me that I did it wrong.
Ugh.
And I mean, I went through calls and talked to this lady, Miss Garcia from Christ Capital, and she took care of everything, and I'm so freaking grateful.
That's awesome, babe.
Mwah.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm so
We'll
happy.
celebrate later today for sure with the $32,000 that we're not gonna have to spend.
Yeah,
on
now
the
it's
car.
only gonna be like $1,000 instead.
Sweet,
So,
that's so good.
if
Awesome.
that. Yeah. All right, cool. Back to this. Where are we at?
Okay, so I just talked about snow chains and how you have to have them in some places. So the other thing that you obviously need to have is windshield wiper fluid.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna want to be cleaning your windshield.
Well, yeah, because you have like a lot of salt and like the dirt and dust and stuff that comes up onto your window, so like you use it a lot more in the winter time, just from like that wet, the ice melt and stuff.
Right, and if you're behind a truck or something and they're splashing everything into your car.
Another thing that we actually use it for is for our gray tank.
Just a little bit, and I really don't like to do it.
Well, I know you don't like to do it, but it is biodegradable. I mean, it is windshield wiper fluid. It's sprayed on your windshield, and then it goes to the earth, no matter what. So, like, we pour a little bit of that into the gray water tank because we don't have that one heat traced.
Yeah, and so you don't want that to freeze up either, because then you can't dump it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you still take the proper precautions to dump it and everything like that. So as long as you're doing all that the right way, you don't have to worry about the other end of it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And so lastly, for a diesel engine particularly, having it's called 911, and you pour it into your gas tank when you're filling up.
Yeah, so this fluid, basically what it does is it allows your fuel not to gel up. So in like really cold temperatures, diesel is like an oil. It's an oil-based fluid, and in such cold temperatures, it will actually gel up, and it will make it. It will like basically seize your car, so you can't start it. So you pour this stuff called 911 in, and that loosens it up and allows it to be winterized. For the most part, 95% of these gas stations that we go to seem to have winterized diesel
and
at
so
this point.
Some of them will actually say on the
From
fuel
December
pump,
to this one,
yeah,
minus whatever degree.
We have winterized diesel.
Yeah, and it gives you a temperature gauge. So like it could work into like up to minus 20 degrees, and it could work in up to minus whatever degrees. So like January to February, they have even more winterized fuel. Rather than like in early December or November, they would have less winterized fuel.
Right.
And so on and so forth.
So if you're not sure, you can always go in and ask the attendant who's working at the gas station. But having a bottle of this on board, just in case, because again, like starting your engine in the cold and all of these things, it'll be so much easier if your diesel is winterized.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so, lastly, obviously, if you don't like winter van life, you live in a van.
And drive south.
Yes. You have the option at any time to pick up and go. Obviously, people get stuck in certain places for certain reasons. Some people like us are actually chasing winter and hoping for snow.
Yeah.
And with that comes cold weather. So we're really enjoying winter van life.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. We're also probably really going to enjoy summer van life.
Oh yeah, I'm a little worried about like it being very hot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure summer van life will have its own particular set of challenges, because no matter what, in a van you're so much more exposed to the elements than you are in a vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's you just have to like manage your surroundings and know what's going on, so that you can, have the best night's sleep possible.
Yeah. Speaking of sleep, parking in places that are off the beaten path.
Oh,
helps.
I talked about that.
Okay, you
Yeah,
did?
yeah.
You
But
don't want to be
yeah.
right next to the highway. But with all that being said, winter van life for us has been absolutely amazing, and I'm sure you would enjoy it too. The key is find some winter hobbies that you could enjoy in the winter time. That way you're not sitting in your van the whole entire winter and getting depressed in there.
Yeah, because there's
So-
certainly been a couple of days where Frankie's been on the mountain and I'm, in the van. And by the end of the day, I'm a little bit stir crazy
Yeah.
because I just really like need to get out there.
Mhm.
So we're gonna sign off. This is kind of like, I think the last topic that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. We gotta wrap it up too. 'Cause
And we have a telephone call at 9 a.m. So we gotta
telephone
go.
call 9 a.m. I gotta get to the mountain, A Basin, mountain number 56 of the season.
Yep.
So we got a lot to do
It's a
and
busy
not
day.
enough time.
I know. So be sure to follow along on the journey on Instagram. You can find me, I'm the Hungry Health Coach. Frankie is fbomb_vlogs. Or you can look up hashtag 71 Mountains and find all of our content.
Yep.
Just going to give a quick shout out to the other couple of people who are in the live chat right now. Hayun has been very nice. She says, glad to meet you.
Nice
and
to
we're
meet you
glad
too.
to meet you too. Cynthia Hoffman is also suggesting driving to the
Drive
beach.
to the beach. Get to the beach now.
Yes.
Oh, we actually really do love and enjoy winter van life, but we can't wait for the beach as well. So Cynthia, maybe we'll see you out there.
Yeah, we're for sure planning on spending some time in Mexico and doing the whole Pacific Coast Highway, and we're really excited for all the summer adventures and the hiking.
Honestly, I can't wait to see the Oregon coast.
Yeah,
That's gonna be
everything's gonna
breathtaking.
be so gorgeous.
Yeah.
But for now, we're gonna go keep exploring all of these beautiful winter destinations, and enjoying the majesty of the snowy mountain caps.
It truly is magical for sure.
Yeah. So be sure to stay tuned next week. We're going to jump back into our build series, talk about our solar system and how we're powering this whole rig. And we will see you there.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. See you next time.
Bye. Okay, so the podcast is done. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're coming from Korea, Hyun. Like, that's amazing.
That's so cool.
And I'm pretty...
PCH.
Pacific Coast Highway.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've never seen it yet, and I cannot wait to see it.
I know. And, like, everybody who we talk to about it, who's done it, is like...
go now.
You're
just go
gonna
there.
love it.
Yeah.
So good. So we're really excited. We hope that you guys follow along on the journey. We got so much more good stuff coming out.
Yeah.
So we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Do I wait the couple of minutes for this live stream to actually be done? I haven't actually watched to see if it cuts it off where I cut it off.
Guys, does it cut it off at the end? If we just hit end now, will it make it all the way?
I don't know.
Oh my God, go to Yosemite while you're at it. We're definitely going to go to Yosemite for sure. And I do want to see those huge, big redwood trees.
Oh, yeah, that'll be absolutely beautiful.
Those ancient
There's so many
trees.
amazing places to explore. I can't wait.
I know.
All right, we gotta go.
Bye, guys.
Bye.